Good morning, sir. I'd like to share with you a recent project that we embarked for the company, and that was the Training Needs Analysis project. The purpose of doing the TNA project is really to help identify the training and developmental needs of our employees in the context of Singapore site. And as you and I know, training only adds value, right, when it is relevant and when it addresses a business or a strategic need. So we started off by identifying the scope of the TNA, which is all employees of the company except for contract and temporary staff. We then list out the steps involved in conducting a TNA exercise. First of all, we determine who the employees are. We then, the next step is basically to get them to fill out a TNA form. From the TNA form, we will then analyze the results and interpret the results. Next, we will make the necessary recommendations and finally come up with a TNA report for the management team to review, to deliberate, and to discuss. The sources of information is mainly obtained from the employees. Every individual employee will be asked to fill up a TNA form, which they will need to complete within a time frame. Right? Employees will provide their inputs as to what training they require or they need to perform their job role. For those employees who have got issues or problems trying to fill out the form, their immediate supervisors or managers will be there to help them, to guide them along, together with a representative from training department. Right? So once all these forms have been completed, they will be consolidated on a departmental level, where the HOD will review them, make the necessary calibrations and adjustments, and then submitted to training department for consolidation. On a company level, the management team will then review the TNA results, deliberate on them, and decide and determine what are the top training programs or top training recommendations that we will roll out for the year 2013. Some of the information that we collected will be information like the length of service in the company, which department they're from, and what are the training needs they require. In terms of the training needs, we basically break it up into a few sections: technical related, developmental related, soft skills related, general training related, and so on. Alright, the data that is collected is analyzed into a few areas. We try to find out on a departmental level, on an individual level, on a company level, what are the most frequently requested training and why are they requested. Qualitatively, we will also interview some of the selected HODs, managers, and even supervisors to solicit their views as to what they think their function requires. And from there, we will consolidate and again do a second level analysis. So, with that in mind, the result basically shows that 80% of our operators on the shop floor as well as in the QA lab, right, lack a general understanding of 5S concept. Right? Not only that, their understanding of 8 ways is also quite lacking. And the reason is really because a lot of them are new employees from Malaysia, some are from Singapore, and a small fraction of them are from other neighboring countries like Vietnam, China, Thailand, and India, and so on and so forth. Right? We also received comments from external auditors and internal auditors that some of the areas and locations in the production floor and QA lab are generally quite disorganized and untidy, as well as comments from managers and HODs that some of the production floors as well as the parts are easily mixed up and there's no proper identification as well as labeling. So with this in mind, one of the key recommendations in terms of training is really to roll out 5S training for the year 2013, and it is mainly targeted at line operators, technicians, senior technicians, engineering assistants, as well as lab assistants. There are other training recommendations as well and non-training recommendations. Right. From there, we will move on to the next step of it, which is to design a training program that is suitable for this company. And really, the first place that we will look for is the WSQ 5S course that is really benchmarked against the industry. We'll look at the curriculum and we will contextualize that curriculum to fit our need. So some of the terminologies might be changed. some of the case studies will be changed to fit our location down here, so we will get our trainers to take photos of those places which are organized versus those places which are disorganized, and use them as real live case studies in the course of training our staff, right? We will also have people to conduct an audit, right, to make sure that the place is kept tidy and clean along the way after the training is completed, so that there's continuity. And in designing this course, we're going to make sure that the theory or model that we use is properly cited, and there's no plagiarism or any copyright infringement in the course of developing this curriculum. Alright? And as you know, sir, a lot of our learners are from Malaysia, China, and so on. So in the course of delivering this training, we may be using more than just English. We could be a mixture of English, Chinese, Hokkien, or Malay. And thankfully, my team and I have got the capability to do that. Not only that, we will use a lot of visuals, such as pictures, visuals like mind maps, to help them understand the importance and criticality of 5S. Right? And as you know, TNA is a very dynamic process. Things change very quickly nowadays. I mean, if next week a new product comes to Singapore, we've got to make sure that our guys are trained in a new product. And so we can't wait for TNA to be done once a year. The frequency of which will be very frequent, and it really depends on how the business shift and move as we go along. So with that in mind, in the design process, in coming up with a curriculum, we've got to make sure that it is quick, it is efficient, and it caters to the needs of our employees. So in that aspect, I will make sure that my team and I will make use of technologies such as e-learning, virtual learning, as well as blended learning, to reach out to as many staff as possible, right? And ensure that they are well trained and they attain the necessary competencies before doing their jobs, right? Lastly, I want to do a quick critique on our assessment process. We have got a assessment process in place. That's great, but unfortunately, I think there are some areas which deserves more attention and deserves some improvement. One of the areas that we've got about 40 assessors on the line. However, every assessor has their own way of assessing. Right, that creates a lot of variation and very little consistency in the way assessment is done. So to that, I think we need to have an assessment procedure. We need to make it more consistent, and we need to find a way to reduce its variation. Secondly, the assessment plan as well as assessment policy is not in place. I will have to check with the global site in the US to see what assessment policy or what assessment procedure they have, and try to use that here in Singapore as well as in Asia, so that we are aligned with them, and if necessary, I may have to make some tweaks and changes to suit our location here. Right. Thirdly, we have to find a way to assess different learners, because every learner has got different assessment preferences. Some can write, some can talk, some cannot write but only can talk. So we can have oral assessment, we can have assessment by observation, or we can have assessment in the form of written form. So in that aspect, assessment instruments and tools will need to be flexible to cater to our different workforce profiles, right? So with that, in short, that is what I have for you, sir, and I hope that if you do have any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.